Riverfront holiday open mic. As I was saying, this is the first time we've done it on Zoom. We are making a recording, which will be available on our Facebook page and on our website, riverfrontreadings.com, once I get it processed and edited and uploaded. So we'd ask you to please limit yourselves, because we do have quite a few readers, to 2 poems or 1 very short prose piece. And also if you are not signed up to read and want to read, then just contact me in chat and I'll add you to the list. If you're not sure, ask me through chat. And I will introduce whoever's going to read next and mention who's going to read after them, so that that person can have time to start preparing. And I might mention that the first 2 readers will be Donald Caswell and Kathy Caswell in that order, so that they can take a minute to get prepared. It's roughly in the order that people signed up, unless someone specifically asks to go later. Anything that our co-host Sharon Eicher would like to say before we get started? Jumpstart Art? You're muted.
It's good to see your faces. I'm glad to be here.
All right. Without further ado, then, our first reader is Donald Caswell. You're muted.
Okay. There are 2 Kathleen Caswells reading. I'm the first one. And it's fun to be here. I can't imagine how long it's been since I was at any kind of Riverside or Writers Place or anything in Kansas City in the writers world. It's been a long time. And I was wondering how many people I was going to know. I'm surprised how many I do. So, that's a good thing. There's some continuity there. It's been a very weird year for Kathy and me. In addition to COVID, we sold our house in Canada, and we did that we had already sold it and had the contract, but we hadn't moved anything out. And so that meant that in late March, we had to dash up there and grab as much of our stuff as we could and load it in the truck and bring it back down. And we were told when we crossed the border into Canada that we had about 48 hours, which is not a good thing because it's like an 8-hour drive from the border to our house. So it was really touch and go. That was fun. And then when we came back, our house got on fire and we had to move out. So that was fun too. It's been a very interesting year. Anyway, I don't want to bother you with that. I hate going first because, I don't want to hold anybody up. I'm just going to read one quick poem. It's not very quick. It's a fairly long poem, but it's one of the few decent poems I ever wrote in my life. And I haven't written very much at all since I left Kansas City. Certainly nothing that would fit in at a Christmas reading. Stuff is kind of bleak lately. This thing is called New Year's Eve. Starts off with a quote from a poet friend of mine that no one else has ever heard of, Francis Poole. What do the date matter? What do it matter? Outside, the rain, it rains itself. Cold soup from a black bowl upside down. The heavens do not shelter us. Inside, we huddle like ducks in the dark, waiting for the countdown to begin, for the balloons to fall, for that moment when the date changes and we can start counting all over again. One young boy watches his father shuffle cards, riffling the entire deck into itself in a matter of seconds, using just the edges of his thumbs, then snapping them back together. When the boy tries, the 2 stacks bang into each other and bounce off. His father shows him how it's done: right, then left, right, left. weaving a new deck from the old. And the boy is watching time explain itself, measuring the years accumulated on his father's sun-dappled hands. He thinks the tiny lines on his dad's knuckles are cuts and wonder if they hurt. Cards fall from the man's thick fingers again and again as the party around them grows loud. Grab your sweetie, shouts the host. Make sure she starts the new year off with a kiss from the right man. A philosopher with too much to drink is explaining why the world is so slow to change. Every time you wake up, you're reborn. No ties to the past. No reason not to be completely different in every way, except habit and fear. Ask any amnesiac. They wake one day with no memories, no regrets, but instead of starting over, they want nothing more than to regain the past they wanted so badly to be rid of only hours before. But the crowd drowns him out. As they intone the countdown to a new year, 5, 4, 3, each syllable louder than the last. 2, 1, 0, horns, shouts, a siren in the distance. Hugs, kisses, happy new year. The boy has missed it all. Eyes locked on the card that are just now beginning to fall so slowly he can count their spots one by one, left, then right, left, right, the edges of one side barely overlapping the edge of the other until all of them are on the table, nested like snake scales, and he presses them into a deck again, shuffled. On the TV screen, the big ball in Times Square is just beginning its descent again in the first of many instant replays, and the countdown echoes across the room. 3, 2, 1. What do the date matter? What do it matter? Thank you.
I didn't know how much I missed that.
Yes, yes, I've always liked that poem. Okay, so a couple of other things. Also, musicians are welcome. So if you want to do a song, please limit it to one song, because once again, we have quite a few. Also, feel free to respond to the poems as they're being read or after in the chat. So our next reader is going to be Kathy Caswell, and following her will be Lindsay Martin Bowen. Please welcome Kathy Caswell.
Hi, I don't know how to do this. Do I just click my picture?
Hold on.
What do I
Let
do?
me. Okay, there we go.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It's really good to see you. I did want to, I'm only going to read one poem, but I did want to wish you happy holidays. And we had lunch today, outdoors, of course. But today it wasn't, we weren't freezing to death outside, but we did have a nice lunch, and we were treated to an early sighting of Santa Claus paddle boarding down the Rappahannock River. So it sort of added, you know, some more proof to sort of my convoluted logic for still believing in Santa Claus. But anyway, I think you all would have enjoyed it if you could have seen him. But today I'm going to read what is not really a holiday poem, and I think I've only read it once, and maybe you may all have heard it because I only read it in Kansas City many years ago. But it has only a tangential connection with Christmas, but I'll go ahead. The name of it is Fortune Hunters. Do you think it's real? My sister said, squinting at the tiny chip she dropped into my palm. Weightless, The amber speck rested there as if its light could crack the code contained in the sweaty, soiled creases of my small hand and tell us of lovers, children, riches yet to come. Our search had led us out of the yard into this hot stretch of road where, ground into the sand with the cigarette butts and bottle caps, gems waited for us to come along and pick them up. I licked the shard, held it up to the sun, and with a jeweler's close eye, looked inside. If it's real, it will have rainbows in it, I said scientifically. Inside the brown glass, colors sparked as I turned its facets to the white hot sky. Then, onto a tiny stage, a gypsy spun. For a moment, she danced and kicked, her booted feet flashing beneath her 7 twirling skirts. Then she dashed away. What's real? What's real is what the light does. A child knows without asking that the glow within a Christmas tree is more real than the light that makes it. But later, when afternoon bends behind a hill and turns its green to gray, she asks, what color is it, really? When fresh snow lights the night, is it morning? Will there be light in that last dark room? These questions would come later. Right now, we mined for rainbows. We found another, and farther down, another. We gathered our fortune until the sun softened, the sand cooled, and we had enough light in our pockets to get home.
Ah.
So that's my poem, and happy Christmas to everybody.
Love that.
Just realized I was muted. All right, thank you. Next up will be Lindsay Martin Bowen, and following her, Malcolm Cook. Please welcome Lindsay Martin Bowen.
Hi, everyone. It's good seeing you. I miss you guys. I wish I could transport you here. Like I say, I don't know when I'm coming back from Missouri. I'm pretty mad at the whole Midwest. At any rate, I have one that's a real downer kind of. It's called COVID Christmas, but I have a better one that's it's not a Christmas one that's a little more happy. Anyway, this one's an elf in blue suit with whiskers poses in a green wreath on our front door. We hope it appropriately kicks off the season of happier, holier days, Advent, with a circle of love and wreaths around the Advent candles. Yet tonight, I don't feel the magic. A wind groans in low oboe tones while circling oak groves, and a cold moon rises higher, casting long, thin shadows that bleed into a chilly Halloween scene. Locked in so many months, we wonder what we miss. Our lives have changed very little. Before the COVID, I taught online. Few persons stopped by anyway. Still, tonight, something seems lost. And for the other one, I got a message from a guy who is the editor, and he's a teacher, Michael Allen Sullivan, at this Porter Gulch Review. Oh, it's probably showing up backwards there. Anyway, it's online, but I think they're going to do a hard copy too. It's out of California with Castilla College. Anyway, this one's a little bit happier. It's to my granddaughter Ash. It's called County Fair Ferris Wheel Ride. And it's about something that occurred not last summer when we were all closed up, but they had a county fair here in La Grande. And it's County Fair Ferris Wheel Ride. First revolutions are the hardest. The wheel stops when we're locked on top. Winds swing our car hard and far. We fear we'll topple over. Your mother shoots us swinging aloft. My face crossed, looking as if mad, angry. I wasn't, just scared. Unlike you who flew up here. Below, some unload, Again, the machine moves. This time, no stops rock my racing heart. And your face morphs this scary play into fun. And those are all three tankas. So anyway, a little bit lighter. Good seeing everybody. Have a good Christmas, everyone.
Thank you. Uh, Let me see. I don't seem to be able to. All right. Our next reader is going to be Malcolm Cook, followed by Michelle Pond. Please welcome Malcolm Cook.
Thank you. And hello, everyone. I'm happy to read. I, too, don't really have a seasonal poem. I do have a pandemic poem that I've reworked a few times over these last months. And I'll follow it with a short memory that has some nostalgic aspects to it that may strike a seasonal mood. No more bear hugs. Remember our fist bumps when Corona just hit us and we started to reckon that something must change? All those self-conscious jocular knockings of elbows before we locked down and went slowly insane. Because now all such touch is considered taboo and terse salutations are offered in lieu. And anomic etiquette is the new. It's socially distancing makes us feel blue. It may just have to do, but first bid adieu with perfunctory nods to masked neighbors with dogs who we no longer pet, instead treat as if stray. Our nerves fray, this contagion weighs more every day. I'm now at the grocer. I've wiped my cart clean. Aren't I clever not touching the automatic door? Aisle 3's vacant shelves make a mock of my urgency. Nonchalant, I pass by and averting my eyes over here. This too shall pass. In produce, I spy a lone head of tired cabbage, some porcini mushrooms, a melange of legumes. Envision them mixed with white beans from the pantry, an impromptu dish of a quick cassoulet, or perhaps just Italian stew. For the very first time, the self-checkout line beckons, and eschewing my usual how do you do's with a beautiful brown-eyed tattooed cashier and shunning the chance to idly chat with the dignified ankh-wearing dreadlocked young bagger, I swipe my few products' anonymous barcodes. Each beeps the same in the beam's watchful eye, its digital greeting of a shopping experience 100% contact-free. Oh, what I would do for a genuine bear hug, a slap on the back, a quick kiss cheek to cheek. But it's air kisses now and the Japanese bow. We must keep a distance of 6 feet at least. So we Zoom and we tweet and we read every screed, ratios of hospital beds to people in need, respirators meant for one jerry-rigged surfer 3. Still, we flatten the curve. Still, we scream at our screens. Then, taking bleach from the kitchen, we scrub and we clean, all alone in our dreams. We scrub all alone and we clean in our dreams, all alone, all night long.
Oh, yeah.
So childhood memory real quick, like spinning tops. I learned to spin a top at PS41. The secret recipes for winding them just right, throwing them down hard on the linoleum floors. We bought them at Bertha's, the corner store, who also sold us candy dots, affixed to yards long, narrow strips of paper that no one really liked in truth, but yet held a strange fascination with their pink and blue, yellow and red chalky pastels, staining our fingertips as we counted their rows and pried them loose in 2s and 3s. Or those little hard round candies on elastic cords that left sticky lines from the corners of our lips diagonally across our cheeks to our necks. And we played with click-clacks in the asphalt schoolyard until they were banned over rumors of splintered plastic taking out the eyes of other children. And then yo-yos and the tricks we did, walking dogs, sleeping round the world, just to begin. But after school, it was street games on Waverly Place, running bases, roller hockey, and kick the can, never bothered by the owners of the inn, yelling car when one would occasionally turn right off Bank Street, where it ends in a T. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh,
Happy Christmas.
Thank you. Our next reader is going to be Michelle Pond, and following her will be Beth Gully. Please welcome Michelle Pond.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you. I've got 2 holiday poems here. Do you hear what I hear? This Christmas, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. There's nothing like home for the holidays. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Sleep well, little children. Santa Claus is coming to town. Hark, the herald angels sing and the silver bells ring. So have yourself a merry little Christmas. What are you doing New Year's Eve? And the second one is called A Different Christmas. I'll be here, not there. Choose how to spend my day. Keep some traditions. The music will still play. Try something new. My meal will be smaller, but I am grateful I'll have a meal. Christmas will be different this year, but I understand that my presence, whether here or there, is always my greatest gift. Thank you.
Nice, thank you. Next up will be Beth Gully, and following her, Victoria Garden. Please welcome Beth Gully.
Thank you. So this first one has to do with the thing that we do a lot during the holidays, which is shopping. You have been chosen. You have been chosen for a special price on plus-size dresses and $19 plane tickets to half of somewhere you don't want to go. Some of the time, Google reads your mind so well you think about getting a tinfoil hat and ads for Reynolds Wrap pop up in your feed. But other times, you wonder, just exactly what does Google know about your future? That you will need a fat dress and a one-way ticket to Garden City. And this second one, I wrote several Christmases ago when my children were small, and I just visited my niece and nephew, and they are about the same age my kids were. And it also references Laura Ingalls Wilder book, the one that she wrote about when she was living in Independence, Kansas. Simplicity. The beach house resembles Laura's house outside Independence, Kansas, where Mr. Edwards brought Laura and Mary a penny each and a stick of candy for Christmas, and they were so happy. We bundle up and pick up shells and quartz rocks on the beach. The air is too cold to touch, so swimming is out of the question. My boys pretend the rocks are dragon's eggs, and they are so happy.
Thank you. Our next reader is going to be Victoria Garton, and following her, Divya Ramesh. So please welcome Victoria Garton.
Thank you. It's nice to see everyone. I wrote a sonnet for the reading this year. I started writing it and then something happened and it took a totally different turn. So it's called a Christmas COVID-19 sonnet. In dream, the swollen coronavirus images, the CDC way of showing this is no hoax, are balls of gray plush with hollyberry spikes, decking my tree for 2020 Christmas. I start a parody of Dear Dr. Seuss with virus, replacing Grinch, for surely sheltering in place away from granddaughter's Christmas smiles is equal to the Grinch's theft of gift. At chime, I pause to read and catch my breath. At news of kidneys stopped, my cousin's texts, IDs the COVID villain in her daughter's death. Stop the poem, take down the Christmas wreath. Oh, Grinch, you came because I thumbed my nose and tried for joy with silly, obsequious prose.
Huh.
And since that one is such a sad one, I did lose my cousin lost her daughter this last week to COVID. I'm going to pull up one from a couple of years ago that was a New Year's poem. It will not be like the New Year's this year, but I'm going to read it. Old year, you're almost a goner. I couldn't love you early on. You came on too strong in your party hat, cavorting to the ratched racket of noisemakers. Later, you crossed too many borders. You sped along like a testosterone-buzzed lover, while I, in a crumple of sheets, anticipated what was already done. By summer, we had this day in, day out thing. You were half gone, but I'd come to count on you like an old husband, old habit. You took me through countless days, though someone was counting. Someone's clocks ticked, not mine. They're all digital, silent. Now you say it's over. I'm having an existential crisis, you say. I look up the word, but still don't know what the hell you're talking about. Is this your idea of letting me down easy? My friends gather round to watch you go. Someone keeps filling my glass. We rush to the porch to swirl noisemakers. Someone thrusts a horn in my hand. Someone brings it to my lips. I blow like your Jesus coming amid sunbeams. Past midnight, countdown ends. I kiss everyone in sight, then squint down the dark, empty street. No more fits of self-improvement. I'll do nothing to impress this new stud muffin year. If we could have a year like that, I would do anything to impress it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Chloe, did you get your audio figured out? I am not hearing Chloe respond. Let me know in chat if you do. I'll keep you on the list. But for now, our next reader will be Divya Ramesh, and then if Chloe isn't able, then following her will be Pat Lawson. So please welcome Divya Ramesh.
Howdy. Beth, I don't know if you remember me, but you changed my mind and I was going to read something else today, but I'm going to read this instead because around Christmas, wait, we're already in 2020. Never mind. I should know that with this year. Around Christmas 2 years ago, I wound up at the Daylight Donuts in Gardner because I'd had this experience instead in Independence, and I ran into you, who helped me figure out how different kinds of donuts are made, and our encounter was very passing, so I don't think you'd remember me, but it's very odd that you're here now and you're Writers House affiliated, which I didn't expect. But thanks for this, and here goes, if I can open this up. And I chose this, I guess, because the references are familiar to a lot of people. But I also can't read my own screen, so 1 second. Here we go. I'll read this and then another short one. Poppy's Donuts, Independence, Missouri. The woman would not take cash for my dozen, would not take the 20s from my hands. She told me about yeast donuts, to talk then of infections and immigrants in the same breath, complimented me on being articulate, asked me where I had stolen my English from. Stole, noun, a scarf or shawl spread loosely over shoulders. Something else, my slip of sound, to shudder as she cleaved to the verb, cleaving from the grace I had given her, griping how I had grabbed someone else's spot, still not stepping to the display case with her tongs. A man entered with his coffee cup. Themes are both where the skin on his forehead split into furrows and where stitches joined sleeve to shoulder in my shirt. Stitches, mending and causing sharp pain, reside in the same string of sounds. The man selected his glaze, dropped his dimes, and vanished towards a parked pickup's idling engine. Vanish and varnish could be malaprops of each other. How the people in this town glaze over swelling skin until it goes away. Certain people don't come here often, unpolled for the proclamation that these are the best donuts in America. For me, I guess the 3630 is State Line Road, and I'll take my rents to Munchers or Hannah's Donuts in Kansas for Solve, where the owners laugh that it's nice to see me home for lunch again, confide in me how the competition is cutting them, and I begin cutting too, papers and pencils and pasting a poem, as one kind of artist can attempt for the other. Icing has always been a sound prescription for pain. So there's that.
Oh.
And then, so you're the one who actually directed me to Hannah's Donuts off of 635, so thank you. That night would have been very different if we hadn't stumbled into each other. But, and then this one is more, again, I had trouble, as Lindsay did, with making things holiday oriented, but this is Thanksgiving, so I'm close, I hope. So, borrowed Thanksgiving. Arm's length from the flame, she wants the fire pit. Stoked cardboard boxes and twigs, wood smoke, wilting reminders of the fires that have burnt her. You touch that and I will sear your hand with a spoon. In these tongues wend the warmth of words and wine for wishes conveyed in smoke or sparks spiriting away, like dragonflies. Simile connecting to schema something that she cannot understand. Smiles. There is no argument about who should cut the kindling. Peeling under fist, this family lets fall something kind. A glance, a giggle. How Mama and Daddy met this way. Stories beside the licking logs of campfires years ago. 3 children now, sliding pie onto porcelain plates and spoons under the clouds and the canopies. The turkey this year lacked a wishbone. In deference, perhaps, to someone who's deferred this wish enough. Sometimes you meet a father who fixes a cornbread dressing and manages to bandage a bruise. So that's that.
All right. Thank you. That was wonderful.
It was.
Our next reader will be Pat Lawson, and following her, Randy Ratliff. Please welcome Pat Lawson.
Hi, everyone. Really enjoying your poems, and happy holidays to everybody. This one is a little out. It's pre-COVID, so it's not that relevant, actually. I'm reading it for in honor of Concy Denniston because she liked this poem, and so it's called An Authentic Christmas. I have been making a real old-fashioned Christmas for my family. Knitting scarves unceasingly. I am one with various warps and woofs, or wooves, of knitted wools and cottons, and yes, a blender too. Soon I will be sanding real wood for grandson's blocks, baking, fixing a real Greek meal from a real Greek cookbook. I am not Greek, but I've seen Greek wedding. I've made my own Christmas cards. I have avoided internet shopping almost entirely. I've insisted the family go in on half a goat from Heifer International. They resisted their quarter, so I'm giving the whole half myself. I hope the half with a head. I am wrapping presents with wrap I designed and am considering sealing them with handcrafted wooden pegs instead of Scotch tape. In short, these weeks have given me real pleasure, thanks in no small measure to a fine old bourbon whose authenticity no one can question. So, thank you. That's it. Just one.
That was fine.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I will put you on after Randy now that we can hear you. So next up will be Randy Ratliff, and then following him, Chloe Wagner. Please welcome Randy Ratliff.
It is so good to see you all. Oh, I'm bigger. I'm really glad to be here, and I'm having so much fun here. Glad to see new faces and old faces. I do have a new dystopian hellscape poem, but I'm glad somebody else read one, so I don't have to read that. I'm going to read my only Christmas poem, which is old enough, I think, that our guest from out of town may have heard it way back when. And before I get to that, I read a book of poetry that came out in 2019, and then everything went to hell. And so I'm afraid that people will miss out on it because we've been distracted. So right here, is that backwards? This is a book called Magical Negro by Morgan Parker. The New Yorker says her poems are exquisite. I say they make the pages blister. They're really something. Magical Negro, Morgan Parker. Get it for yourself. Never mind other people. Okay. I'm going to read my Christmas poem, but first, I went looking for Christmas poems with dark humor, but not too dark. You know what I mean? So here's something from Shel Silverstein called Christmas Dog. Tonight's my first night as a watchdog, and here it is Christmas Eve. The children are sleeping all cozy upstairs while I'm guarding the stockings and tree. What's that now? Footsteps on the rooftop? Could it be a cat or a mouse? Who's this down the chimney? A thief with a beard and a big sack for robbing the house? I'm barking. I'm growling. I'm biting his butt. He howls and jumps back in his sleigh. I scare his strange horses. They leap in the air. I've frightened the whole bunch away. Now the house is all peaceful and quiet again. The stockings are safe as can be. Won't the kitties be glad when they wake up tomorrow and see how I've guarded their tree? Yeah. All right. This is the announcement. I'm doing Christmas right for once. This year, no more plastic tree or Spotify caroling. I've got an axe, good boots, my eye on likely furs beside the interstate, and all the chopping while will sing, sing, sing. Oh, jingle bells, good Wenceslas, let nothing you dismay, not this year, because I've spied on all the children, and they are getting everything they really want. Ricky's throwing knives and Junior Electronic Surveillance Kit, Amanda's leather mini and subscription to Tattoo Monthly, and every Yo Gabba Gabba box and book for little Lena, and oh yes, the smallest, thinnest, fastest tablet with 3D hologrammatic retinal display, the one they put up on that lucite shrine for everyone. I'll get a loan. I'll do it. I'll drape the tree and house and yard with light, more light than you can imagine, and we'll visit everybody in our Christmas sweaters, bake cans and cans of cookies, give them to everyone, and sing, sing, sing for everyone, even Aunt Amanda. Hold our breath against her Shalimar and sing, sing, sing. Bake her arrowroot cookies shaped like angels. Can she digest gold food coloring? Never mind. We'll go. We'll sing. We'll lay it on so thick she may even smile and let the children count her teeth. Yes, we're taking them. This year we're doing Christmas right, so get used to it. I won't start another year with disappointed scowls digging into my skull like the barbed wire between me and those trees along the interstate. We'll spike the punch, hang the mistletoe, invite everyone we know to come, to sing, sing, sing. We'll put out the good silver. They'll eat and drink and laugh and sing and remember Christmas done right for once. I've already bought the axe. Let's go. Let's pay the price of peace.
Oh, thank you, Randy. Next up, we will have Chloe Wagner, and following her, Dan Erickson. Please welcome Chloe Wagner. Go ahead, Chloe, you're on. Okay, we can't hear you again.
Hello?
Oh, you
Can you
unmuted
hear me
for a
now?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. My first poem is called How Do You Keep Baby Jesus in the Manger? How do you keep baby Jesus in the manger? The headline asks. Rulers have been asking that for millennia, as time's been inching forward millimeter by millimeter. There's been worldwide thefts, the website maintains. Baby Jesus gone missing everywhere. Can we glue him down? But no, I suspect theft's not what really happened. No blame to cast, no culprit to catch. The fact is, baby Jesus done growed up and left the manger. They all just want to keep him safe, where he won't cause any trouble. In December, his birth, and in spring, his death. Nice and neat, like whiskey. No talk about his teachings in between, or following his example. Please, no talk of him overturning tables, no mixing with ice. We don't want no tables turned. But I have seen him out and about just the same. I've seen him protesting hatred and injustice and getting mowed down by a neo-Nazi car. I've seen him in my hometown, dishing up food for the homeless, and city officials then taking it all and pouring bleach on it. I've also seen him place water in the desert so thirsty migrants and their children wouldn't die. Again, officials pouring, this time water into sand. At least one child, we know now, has died from the lack of a cup of water. And I've seen many someones remind us of something Jesus said. Whatever you do not do for one of the least of these, you do not do for me. Jesus has been standing with us all along. That's why the folks in power want to keep him away in the manger, safely away, so they'll stay safely in power. The second coming of Jesus won't come with him riding a cloud down from the sky. It comes when we all finally get it. We're all one family. We're all each other's keepers. It comes when Jesus leaves the manger and enters the world through our hearts. I have one more I'm going to read. This is a pandemic poem. It's called A Case for Installing Toilet Seat Lids in Public Restrooms. When I was very young, I was afraid of flushing toilets, afraid of the water coming up over the edge of the bowl and torrents of nastiness coming towards my ankles, coming for me. Now, I'm afraid of the toilet plume, aerosoling tiny droplets of virus all over the bathroom. Like fleeing a sea monster on a tsunami, I dash from the stall as the roar of the autoflush signals the starting gun. I fumble to pull up my pants, stumbling to the sink like I'm in a three-legged gunny sack race. I never thought that at my age, I'd once again be running from toilets. The toilet needs to wear a mask when it sneezes.
Thank you. That was great. Want to let you know we're getting close to the end of the reading list, and I'll go ahead and tell you who else is on the list. So if anyone thinks they're on the list and you don't hear your name, or if you want to be added to the list, let me know in the chat. We have Dan Erickson, David Hughes, Phyllis Becker, and then to wrap things up, Sharon Eicher. So next will be Dan Erickson, followed by David Hughes. Please welcome Dan Erickson.
Hi, I'm Dan. Beth invited me, and so I didn't know this was a themed reading, and so and I don't write holiday poems really. I write a lot of spiritual poetry, but not usually holidays. But here's one that is if you shoehorn it, it'll fit into Christmas. Okay, this is Mary the baker. Mary pounding grain for flour. That's what she was doing before Gabriel came with the news. After he'd gone, leaving sparks in the air, she went back to pounding, making bread. There were not the jokes later, not many. It was disgraceful enough. Without smirking, Mary has a bun in the oven. Anyway, it was her son that started the whole bread of life business. A joke at first, between a teen son and his mother, elbow deep in rising dough. He knew who he was, though. It didn't hurt her feelings when he said it was his father who gave us bread from heaven. She stood there on the hill when he was broken, pounded as close to powder as a man can become. The brothers and sisters, the apostles, broke bread to remember him, though. Christ's body broken for you, Mary. And Mary ate and remembered. Okay, and here's a totally different kind of thing. This is the other one I wrote more for print. This one's more a spoken word poem called Doritos. I have nothing against your staple food of choice, rice, potatoes, whatever, but when it comes to snack food, you have to admit that corn has it going on. Plain, tall corn sticks in your teeth, popped or on the cob. For this, I think Mexicans, in particular, that first Mexican mother that boiled a maize tortilla in oil too long and fed it to her family anyway. Okay. That woman gets all the love because Doritos, people. Oh, you've stood there in the Safeway, haven't you? Your basket full of regret, broccoli and Coke Zero. You stare at them, bags full of triangular, deep fried, salty crunch sex Doritos. You know them by their skins. The blue one nobody loves and nobody hates. The red one, fiery and dangerous. The black one is a nightclub, strong, spicy, sinful. The orange one, delicious, but honestly, it smells like feet. 3 bags seems greedy. So you only take 2. 1 black for the strong, 1 blue for the weak, family size. You know you're going to pop one of them in the car before you even leave the parking lot. Receptors in your brain will scream the rightness of any world in which Doritos exist. The perfection of any universe that can deliver this much pleasure from such humble kernels. You've read the bag, of course. You're a responsible shopper. It says Doritos on the front. All you need to know. Now, in your living room, the powdered crumbs litter your face and you turn the bag over. You're dizzy drunk with carbohydrated ecstasy. You read, experience that ballistic Doritos brand crunch as it unleashes an explosion of Cool Ranch flavor in your mouth. It's the only snack bold enough to call itself Doritos brand. SnacksDrunkProductions.com. Ingredients, corn, vegetable oil, salt, and a bunch of flavorings. Every bag, no matter what color, corn, vegetable oil, salt. I know a white lady with a Mexican man's kidney. It keeps her alive. She's a cheesy yellow bag. He's a spicy black one. He probably took that kidney to places that would make her blush and dance to music she'd only shrug to. Thank God the marketing copy didn't matter. It's the only kidney bold enough to call itself Mexican brand. What mattered was corn, vegetable oil, salt. Yellow bag, corn, vegetable oil, salt. Black bag, corn, vegetable oil, salt. All the same, at their core.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have David Hughes, and following David will be Phyllis Becker. Please welcome David Hughes.
All right, guys. It's good to see all these beautiful faces I've known from the Writer's Place for so long. I'm going to read a couple of poems tonight. One's my own and one's from our old friend, our late great poet friend, Victor Smith. And those of you that have known me for a while probably heard both these poems, but this first one's called The Rapper. And actually, Victor and I were at a reading over in Midtown and had a lot of spoken word and things. And this young lady came up and asked us if we were rappers. Didn't have a very good answer, but I wrote this poem about it. The Rapper. You're damn right, I'm a rapper, I told her. I've been rapping since the tender age of 16 years. You see, I had a candy striper girlfriend who introduced me to the art. It seems she'd volunteered me without asking. And of course, I succumbed to the persuasion of a woman, as young men will do. It was at Old Children's Mercy Hospital on the city's north side. That's where I got my start rapping. I was wrapping presents for the children who were poor and sick at Christmas time. And I've been a rapper ever since. I wrapped them in gift stock. I wrapped them in foil, in papers with Santas and birthdays and balloons. I wrapped them in brown bags or newsprint with big old colored bows. I wrapped them on buses, wrapped them in cars. I wrapped them in the light of sunny days with flashlights in the dark. I wrapped them with laughter. I wrapped them with tears in bus stations and fire stations in the tiniest hours of cold Christmas mornings. Oh yeah, I'm a rapper, baby. I can rap anything you got. Okay. This is my second one, and this is one I've read also. It's a poem that Victor Smith wrote. It was the title poem of his final little chapbook, and it's about a cold December night on Broadway in Kansas City. It's called The Sound the World Makes After the First Night of Snow. I open my eyes. I close my eyes. I open my eyes. I create the world. I close my eyes. I destroy the world. I open my eyes. The world creates me and spits down another December night into the wet face of Broadway. The traffic screams by like enemy fire. Blood-hungry sirens sing out each bullseye to all the good eaters here at Chubby's Cafe. And I see it all. I see it all, the cold December night, the insane traffic, the zombies, the vampires, the virgins, the good eaters. I see it all from my corner booth by the window. There's a half-eaten hamburger on the table next to me. It keeps staring at me with those sexy buns and its frilly lettuce hiked up just high enough to show tomato. Maybe if I pretend it isn't there. Sitting across from me, Fat Angel opens her eyes. Her breath is still cordite. I look down at the spilt sugar on the table. You know, me and Big Fat Angel, we never did get along. I smoked and drank the money up, and she played her men all wrong. But now and then fate shuffles the deck, and we find ourselves together. I keep the conversation light and talk about the weather. Do you remember what's his name, she says? They published his poem in some church newsletter, so he quit his job. He bought a red bandana and a yellow notebook. Now he pushes a blue pen across a blank page and leaves crumbs in his wake to find his way home again. When he reaches the end of the paper, there's nothing there. The birds have eaten all his crumbs. But he believes in Dylan. He believes in Bukowski. He thinks, maybe I don't drink enough, so he drinks some more, and the rejection letters bleed through under the door along with the past due notices. He believes in Kerouac. He believes in the word, and he thinks maybe I'm too comfortable. So he walks out into a cold December night, Broadway licks his thigh and finds him good to eat. A half-eaten hamburger has discreetly made itself comfortable in my coat pocket. Fat Angel shoots lightning bolts out of her eyes. The blinding light stones me, and all my confessions fall like rain in her perfect storm. But I don't care. Did you ever hear the sound the world makes after the first night of snow? A waitress is coming. I pretend to write in my notebook to make myself invisible, and it works. She moves to the next table and starts cleaning. The dogs, Fat Angel says. Where I live, the dogs all sing like angels in hell with every ambulance that passes. But they're as quiet as the grave when the police come through. I look out the window and it's starting to snow, and each snowflake is a star, and they are all the nights with stars that I've ever known. Fat Angel closes her eyes. Dead 2 years, and she can still pull the wind through my heart. The next morning, I wake up in an abandoned car behind the Ambassador Hotel. I wipe the dirt from the window with my bandana and crash deep into that sound the world makes after the first night of snow. And well, that changes everything, right? Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, so we're down to the last two. Next up, we have Phyllis Becker, and then following her will be Sharon Eicher. Please welcome Phyllis Becker.
Great, I get to go after Victor and before Sharon. Really not fair. So I have one poem, and and thanks everybody for coming to the reading, and it's so good to see everybody. This is one of my favorite readings of the year, so I'm really happy to be here. And mine has winter in it. That's as close to a holiday as you're gonna get. And it's also a pandemic poem. Pandemic Seasons, and it starts with a quote by Albert Camus. In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invisible summer. Spring. The burst of spring flowers mimics the curve of the pandemic. Their full blooms are not by accident. The bends in the curve are not by accident either. Summer. In the midst of summer, I found there was within me an infinite winter, a humorless world hard as ice, without artifice, its silence ringing like a single strike tone of a bell. Fall. We mask up, walk through sheaths of big brown leaves tumbling down the streets like paper brown sacks, blowing winds lifting and swirling the leaves in an autumn ballet. Winter. The last leaves are falling as well as we are. The world of winter and more madness moves in. I work to find the bubble of safety in my home and within. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. And before I turn it over to Sharon to take us out of here, just want to thank everyone for reading, and thank those of you who didn't read for performing the important role of audience. And I would normally announce the next Riverfront reading, but we don't have it scheduled yet. So please welcome Sharon Eicher.
Hi, everybody. I want to read a poem by Philip Miller. It's called Red, White, and Blue. Mother was a little red, having lived through 2 world wars and the Depression. Having reared a drunken mother, husband, son, her mind was sometimes on revolution and the fate of underdogs. She did not like Ike, cussed McCarthy, became a famous Nixon hater, but she was white enough to weep when anyone hauled out Old Glory, or Kate Smith came to sing a breathy, God bless America. Loved the Fourth so much, She lost hearing in her left ear when a black cat firecracker she'd lit exploded too close to where she sat, waiting for dark and fountains to gush their volley of colored fire. When the 60s came along and took the Kennedys and King, and the silly 70s got Lennon too, her cheeks reddened with anger, but soon paled after a third-rate actor became a fourth-rate president. And when everyone grew richer or poorer, dumber or shrewder, she began to say, well, there is no justice. And then she would simply gaze outside her high-rise window at the night lights burning across the city, or at the cool stars, the dwarf reds and the splashy big whites, and a few twinkling as blue as she was. Thank you, Phil Miller and Phil Miller's mother. Watching strangers shrink thin, then shrink all together. America in the middle of a plague, but no one will admit it. It can't happen to me. Denial ignores the rumbling of the death wagon. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. The clarion call rings through the city. Its heavy load moans and groans as the cart lumbers from street to street, house to house, remembers of another dark age. Meanwhile, pink, plump children play, and health nuts continue to jog, crunching foot bones. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Gaunt-eyed, he watches me munching granola. He seems to be in a state of wonder, questioning, does she savor each bite? Revel in each remaining day as I do? No alchemy can mix the potion that will stay death forever, but we try. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Hastily leaving the restaurant, I re-enter rush hour traffic. First looking over my shoulder, then glancing in the rear view mirror, making sure he didn't follow me. I have so much to do today, so much unfinished business. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. It's a poetry reading. No problem. The kids, one moment. That's it.
Thank you, Sharon. That was wonderful.
The only way out's through. The only way out is through.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. That concludes the reading. Feel free to hang out and chat for a bit if you want. And happy holidays.